And we're live. Hello and welcome to the football podcast for Tuesday, 15th of September. I'm joined as always by a certain Adam Galau to discuss the hottest stories surrounding the footballing world.
Hello, Theo. It is a pleasure to be here. And without further ado, let us commence this podcast.
Indeed, in today's edition of the football podcast, we'll be covering everything from transfer results to transfer rumors.
Yup. And so we will be looking at some results first, with Liverpool edging out Leeds 4-3, followed by West Brom losing 3-0 to Leicester at home. Tottenham, this is a shocker here, also lost at home to none other than Everton. And Sheffield United, again, along with West Brom and Tottenham, lost at home to Wolverhampton 2-0. And finally, Brighton suffered a similar fate at home to Chelsea, losing 3-1. What do you think of these results, Theo?
We'll start at the very top of the list. We were covering Liverpool versus Leeds. Second half just began as we concluded the podcast. The score was 3-2. Adam, you said 5-3, and I said 4-4. Turns out it went right in the middle of that, between Leeds scoring and Liverpool scoring. The game finished 4-3 to Liverpool. Mohamed Salah getting a hat-trick, two of which were penalties, conceded by two Premier League debutants. So, this has been a weekend of great debuts and rather disappointing ones. Leeds, unfortunately, falling into the latter. And then West Brom at home to Leicester started actually very well, as did all three of the promoted sides. I've been very impressed with all three of their pace of game, their intensity, and they all kind of. I think Leeds were definitely the most well drilled, but Fulham and West Brom both kind of fizzled out towards the end of the second half, and then also at the very end of the first. So I think it's just that consistency and fitness that they lack. Maybe they went too all out in the early stages. But Timothy Castagna, talk about good debuts, got Leicester's first Premier League goal of the new season with a header. So great start for him. And then two penalties from Jamie Vardy concluded a 3-0 victory. Tottenham were surprise losers against a new-look side, Everton, with James Rodriguez on the right. Alan and Decore both featuring as well, doing very well. Everton dominating the whole game. And it was actually really no surprise that they were the team that went in front. So all credit to them for their tactics. Clearly, Ancelotti is really employing what he wants from his team. So really well done to them. Sheffield, they lost 2-0 to Wolves. Two early goals from Romain Saiz and Raul Jimenez. Again, Wolves, no surprises here. Just always bringing out at least 80% in every game. So really well done from them. And then actually, this is an interesting one. Chelsea beating Brighton 3-1, despite playing probably the worst they'll ever play this season. They were absolutely shocking up till their retaining possession, to their attacking fluency. Kai Havertz had a very disappointing debut, I thought. Timo Werner, on the other hand, his intensity was definitely up to scratch, and only things to come. I don't think it's a concern from Havertz, but 3-1 Chelsea. Adam?
Well, I think just moving on the fact that you said that despite playing probably the worst game of the season, we don't know. This is only the first game, but I think it is a sign of a great team if, despite playing very badly, they can still muster a win. We saw that in Liverpool a lot last season, and we saw this in Chelsea yesterday. Through whatever means, be it unglamorous or be it glamorous, if team can win a game by playing like Chelsea did last night, then I actually think that it's a sign of good things to come, because it shows that despite playing badly, they still have the quality and desire to win. But that takes us on from the results that we had onto the transfers. The Man United Reguilon deal edges closer to completion. What do you think of this deal? What do you think is going to happen?
Sergio Reguilon, who was part of the Sevilla team that won the Europa League, and is now a Real Madrid player again. And he was linked with Chelsea for a while. When Ben Chilwell wasn't a Chelsea player yet, they saw him as a cheaper alternative. But then they obviously got the breakthrough with Chilwell, and the Reguilon deal broke down. Man United have been in the business for him for a few weeks now, and talks are advancing. We don't know if a deal has been agreed, but we know a deal is very close. We're thinking something in the range between 20 and 25 million pounds. So nothing too bad for a team like Man United to muster. So yeah, I think this is, I think this would be a great transfer. Someone, I think we've said this before, someone just as young, but I think slightly more experienced than Brandon Williams. So I think this would be a very good transfer for Manchester United if they can get over the line.
Yep, and that takes us on to Aston Villa, who, considering the size of their club, have actually made quite a big transfer. They've agreed this £17 million transfer for Button Traore. Do you think that's a fair price tag, or do you think that's too much or too little, Thea?
Well, I do believe Bertrand Traore was a Chelsea player at one point. Never really got to a first team stage. He's at Lyon, I think, now. And I think he's established himself as no longer a substitute or that third right winger covering for world class players. I think he has the ability to become world class, but I think he needs to move to a club that can take him there. And I mean, if he's alongside Ollie Watkins, who was recently signed by Aston Villa, and Matty Cash on the right hand side, I mean, listen, I think he can totally reach that level. So I think this is a really good transfer for Aston Villa again, who are really bringing out the goods here. They clearly have desire to stay up. So, Adam?
Yeah, I agree. I think that he is a very much talented winger, and could really be a boost for a club like Aston Villa. But that takes us on to the next deal, staying in the Premier League with Thiago and Liverpool. Apparently, he has agreed with Liverpool that there will be a transfer going through. Now, we don't really know what this means. This is just in quotations. But what do you think?
Yeah, so we don't actually know whether this is personal terms or whether a fee has been agreed. Obviously, the fee is almost criminally low for such a player, for a player of such quality. So, I mean, again, I've said this before, I think last maybe 2 podcasts ago, but I think the fee is just simply so low that Liverpool have to take it if they're truly interested in him. Wijnaldum is linked with Barcelona, so if he's going to the new camp, then I think he'd be a great replacement and cheaper, but just as good and even better. So I think if they can get this over the line, which clearly there's evidence that they will, Liverpool are making some good business, challenging people like Chelsea and Man City for their spending. Though I don't think they really need to spend. I mean, they've got such a quality team with the likes of Van Dijk, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold. Such a good squad. And I think Thiago will only add to that. So if this happens, it's a great transfer for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some speculation recently of players that could be on their way out. I think Mo Salah has been linked with. He has been linked with Barcelona, but I think it's so speculative right now that we will talk about it in later episodes. But to end on a more positive note, undeniably, Grealish and Aubameyang have both signed new contracts of 5 and 3 year lengths, respectively. I think this is great for both Aston Villa and Arsenal because I think these are both two of their marquee players and definitely are responsible for a lot of their success in the Premier League. So, what do you think the effect of these contracts will be, Theo?
Yeah, I'll start with Jack Grealish. We talked about Aston Villa's spending in the transfer window. Now we're talking about their contract business, and this is as big as it gets for Aston Villa. And we were talking about perhaps an exit to Manchester United. That wasn't really going to happen at a stage where we knew where that deal was at. Never was in advanced stages. But he has been linked with moves away, and there was reports suggesting he wasn't happy, but he definitely would have left the club if they were relegated, which they weren't. And I think part of the fact that he's staying and signing this new 5-year contract is part of the fact that he's being noticed at Aston Villa by England, and the fact that all these new signings, Watkins, Cash, Traore, Takama, I think all he's really ever wanted, Jack Grealish, was quality players to play around, and I think these players will provide that. So Aston Villa, they could make a push for not even contending for relegation. We put them bottom of the Premier League. We might have to withdraw that interpretation of their success later on in January. Adam?
I mean, yeah, they have really decided to turn on the afterburners, if you will, in the transfer market. And I mean, they are a well-managed club, not the richest, but a very well-managed club. With they understand how to negotiate and make deals, and so by buying these players that are of great quality, they've convinced Grealish to stay, as you mentioned. That takes us on to Aubameyang, who also signed a new deal, not as long, but it could still help Arsenal tremendously. He has been, I think, their top goal scorer and their most productive attacking player. And I think is definitely one of, if not their best player currently at the club. Even though he is aging and definitely towards the dusk of his career, if you will, he is still a great player in his own rights. And I think that he will definitely guide Arsenal to some success in the coming seasons. What do you think, Theo?
Yeah, Aubameyang, this is pretty huge for Arsenal. I believe the stats are 72 goals in 111 appearances for the Gunners. That is amazing for a striker, may I add. That is just ultimately clinical. So all credit to him. £56 million move from Dortmund. If we look back on that, the amount of goals that he gives Arsenal, I'd value him closer to something like 80 million pounds. So, great transfer, and three more years at Arsenal, hopefully, and definitely deserved. It was just a matter of time. That's what we thought, and that those rumors were true. He has signed a new 3-year deal, which does conclude this podcast. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on it. Turn on this post notification bell so you're notified when we make a new video. and please subscribe if you are new. Goodbye from Adam.
Yep, Theo, you said everything that they need to do. So goodbye from me as well.
Bye bye.